Hi,
Alekhya, how are you?
Hi, Parnika, I'm good. Thank you for the birthday wishes. 2 months before my birthday.
Yes,
Yeah.
advance
Yeah,
wishes.
advance. And for the flower.
Yeah, and there's a lily also.
Oh my God, I'm lucky. Nice.
Please give it to your son.
Yeah, I will. You will like it. Thank you.
Hello everybody, welcome to a freshly brewed episode of Mind Stance. Today I have a very special guest, an artist, a writer, a marketing buff, and also
What? Sketch artist? Doodler, I guess.
doodler. Yes, there. If you go and check out Alekhya's profile, you'll find out how many talents are mixed in this one person here. Hello, welcome Alekhya.
Thank you, Parnika.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you for being here. Alekhya, why don't you tell something about yourself to my little audience?
Audience, okay. Audience, Parnika's audience. So I am. Yeah. So by profession, I'm a marketer. But I think before that, I like to identify myself as a father. Like I think 11 years back when I became a father, I think my life changed forever. Like how I looked at the same things around me, including art, and we'll talk about all that in details, right? So that changed. So I'm a father, a marketer by profession, a doodler or sketcher that I like to call myself. I write as well, quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I read. Yeah. I think broadly, I think these are the things that typify me. Yeah.
Alekhya, as somebody who reads, writes, sketches, doodles, what do you think art is for you?
Art for me?
Yeah.
Art for me is something, it's a form of expression first up, right? So expression of one's thought, right? It's a form of communication, right? So I think very early on, and my first my earliest memory of being exposed to anything that is remotely art was around when I was in first or second standard, when my mom took me by my shoulder and to this drawing teacher, Mr. Gautam Sen, near my neighborhood, typical Bong neighborhood, right? So, and this is a very Bengali tradition, like Bengali kids being, herded into a drawing teacher's home to sort of do that, irrespective, that's like an extracurricular activity, right? So, I don't know how much art I learned, but I think just the scenes and books on art and other paintings that I saw in his house, that sort of opened my mind like never before at such a tender age, and there was no looking back.
Yeah.
And I think also this person, and he's by far one of the best artists I've seen. He has played a big role as a mentor in my life to keep that aspect of my mind always open, right, for different perspectives and contexts. So I think that's how it started, and somehow that idea morphed and evolved and always sort of was a constant thread to be where I am today in terms of profession and obviously my hobbies as well.
How do you think this journey with art and how has it shaped you as a person?
So big time. So I think look, I like to answer with examples always, right? So
Of course.
I think how it shaped me as a person, I think 2-3 anecdotes or examples from my life will help you understand this. So I think one, in Gautam sir's house while learning whatever about art, but actually just being exposed to a series of books called Great Artists. I don't know whether they still publish it. It's a I think a European publisher. Okay. They essentially used to have one series each on different great artists from Renaissance and other periods, right? Like Titian, like Da Vinci, Michelangelo, etc. And I think I remember going through that, probably the highest form of art that's there, art, architecture and paintings, and that had a big mark in my mind that this is the level of craftsmanship that can be achieved if you really push yourself, right? With that many number of hours been spent on it. So that was, I think, one incident. Second, I'm a quintessential Bong, right? And we have a lot of creative arrogance in ourselves, right? So we grew up with movies of Satyajit Ray, right?
Yeah.
Satyajit Ray, I mean, the first Indian man to get an Oscar for lifetime achievement, and this guy, by the way, was so much more than a film director.
Yeah.
So like he used to sketch his own complete cinematography himself, right? He used to compose music.
Yeah.
Like initially he had Ravi Shankar on his movies, but then he realized he had so many ideas himself, he decided to doing that, right? And he used to be a photographer as well. He didn't have a cameraman initially, so he was like a complete polymath. So Satyajit Ray's works, he used to write as well, a series of books. And I finished all his books by the age of whatever, like 15 or 16, right? So this man and his works had a great effect on me as well, right? While I was growing up. And I always had that innate dream to be a jack of all trades, right? And a master at most of them as well, right?
Yeah.
So that was there. Like again, that's a very arrogant dream if you think about it,
Yeah.
right? So that's that other marker I want to share. Third, I think somewhere when I was choosing my profession, I think in my mind, my first dream profession was being a journalist. But I realized that no, that figured out from my own research that doesn't pay
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So then, and then I realized that I have to do something in the world of communication. But because if that's something that is morphing inside me, and naturally then from the love of ads around me that I was seeing the likes of Prahlad Kakkar and the ads of late 90s brands like Pepsi, Asian Paints, etc., which I used to see much before your generation, by the way, and I'm sure. So all those ads sort of
Feeling left out.
yeah, and I'm feeling like a dinosaur. Yeah. So, but those ads again, that was a big marker in me
Yeah.
in wanting to be a part of that world of creative storytelling, right? While selling a bar of soap or a paint box or whatever, right? But then again, I realized, much like journalism, like advertising isn't a very high-paying
Yeah.
job. But then I realized somebody would be briefing them, right? So who is that person? And then I figured this world of brand management and building brands. And that's eventually, luckily, where I landed up. And I was very clear. I think I was not as confused during my engineering or MBA days as to what I eventually want to do. By that time, I had figured out that I want to be in this world of marketing communication largely and brand building. So, yeah. So, and of course, having spent almost 12, 13 years now there in that space, yeah, that seems vindicated. So, I think that's how art has played a role.
The storytelling which you mentioned, how has it changed for you, and how has that changed things for you?
Yeah. So the other aspect I forgot about mentioning of myself is I'm also a very, very avid quizzer. So I've been quizzing for almost 30 years of my life, right? Still do, right? Actively, right? So being a quizzer and having this innate love for everything art, also I wanted to be curious about everything around me, the world of brands. If I see a nice brand on the streets, I want to know who is the person who has designed that particular ad, right? And equally that helps me, the quizzer in me, because if that question in some form comes in a quiz, I'll be the first one to sort of buzz or raise my hand and answer. 14, 15 years back, I had to make a 30-second ad. Now it's a 6-second reel.
Yeah.
Even within 6 seconds, the first 3 seconds is where I have to capture the attention of the
Absolutely,
user,
yeah.
right? I think that answers your question, right? Nobody has the patience. Who reads the newspapers in your generation? No one.
No one,
Right?
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not now
No,
downgrading
it's
you, but
true,
it's true,
it's true.
right? But that's the truth. Then, as a marketer or a communicator, I have to choose my mediums accordingly, and I have to choose the But you drive by, so of course billboards have now become very, very important. That's why Zomato's, etc. Billboards. There's so much fun being made around billboards.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they were not as prominent as even 10 years back. I can guarantee that to you.
Yeah.
But newspapers as an industry is finished almost, right, in terms of advertising. So all these things have sort of morphed, and yeah, I hope that answers your question again.
No, it does, and also it's true that our generation is very fickle. They don't
Yeah.
have that patience, and
Yeah.
even as creators and even as consumers of that art, I feel that it's just terrible to what is happening, because there's so much to
Yeah.
do, so much to see, so much to read, and it's just that brain is already occupied with so many things.
Correct. And another point on that, just building on what you said, there's so much to do, so much to read. I think that's an unfortunate truth, and I have a lot of empathy for Gen Zs and that generation, that they are inundated with so much of advice.
Yeah.
Like so many podcasts, like again this one, right? Sorry, I'm not saying this is bad, but I'm saying so much
No,
content
of
out there.
course.
That's
Yeah.
overwhelming to a massive extent. And unfortunately, what this does is it just wires your brain to follow. Now, if
Yeah.
you understand that, that's an enemy of good art. Right, because you're actually killing original thinking, and it's a fact that if you look at the box office records of movies in Hollywood and Bollywood, the type of movies which is actually gaining more box office earnings are sequels.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing for originality.
Yeah.
Right. So if you take the last decade, on an average, sequels have done better than
Yeah.
original first releases. So it tells you something about how the world is
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
thinking originally or not.
That's very true, because social media, I think, has unfiltered content. There are all forms of content available today, short form, long form,
Yeah.
audio.
Yeah.
Music industry is just so saturated. But because you mentioned that you have a son, and your relationship with art has grown, and now you're seeing that how
Yeah.
his world is changing.
Yeah.
So how do you think you would like to pass on this gift of art to him, or how is he adapting to it, or how would how would the legacy go on?
Okay, I don't know about legacy, gift, right? Heavy words. Like I told you in our introduction, I don't consider myself an artist by a fair stretch of imagination.
You are.
I don't know. So in my
Maybe
own
he's a
eyes,
tag of artist.
But I think what I would like to pass on to him, which I think again going back to that same guy who is still my mentor, Gautam Sen he never set a hard target for me. I think that was one of the best things he did to me. At a tender age, right? And that's what I think I would like to never set for my son as well. Like no target to chase. So I'll tell you something that two things I'll tell about me and my son's interactions the last 2-3 years. Okay, so one is yes. Obviously, we try to teach him drawing as well. Like, hey, drawing karo, sketch karo, try to imitate this and try. And then, of course, he's failing in his own cute, sweet ways, right? So, and that's nice. But at least from my end, I'm trying not to. I know his mom sort of is a strict tiger mom, so she tries to, obviously, but and that's needed as well, right? But I am that parent who is more of a friend. So, obviously, I take advantage of that situation. That's one thing I maintain. Equally, I think he's again a budding gamer. Right? So I think he plays this one game, Roblox. I don't know whether you've heard of it. Extremely popular in his age group, right? Okay. Globally, yeah. In Roblox, Parnika, the game is where kids his age essentially build a universe in 3D.
Okay.
They keep on building. Like that, it's nothing like beating someone. It's like you are building your own horse castle. Let's say you're building your own Delhi. You're building your own Taj Mahal, right? You're building your own. Like he keeps on saying, like for example, we saw Kung Fu Panda 4 the other day. And we come back, that same night he has built a panda on Roblox. I think this is great expression.
Yeah.
Great creative expression. Yeah. And I'm like, I loved it. This is what I passed on to him. No boundaries, no constraints. The idea that he can creatively express. And I'm so happy. In some way, my DNA has passed on to him already. I can see that. I can sense that. I think that nothing beats that, right? So, and he'll find his own canvas. My canvas for me was like, those things that you've seen on Gram, or let's say, sketches on iPad now. It was earlier obviously pen and paper, or let's say, blogging, podcasting, etc. His canvas might be something different, which we don't know.
Absolutely.
So that bit I have already passed on probably. Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
To pass on the idea of creative expression.
Yeah.
Because the more this is what I believe, that more we limit it with rules.
Yeah.
I think it's just very limiting and upsetting for the other person. That may or may not be their cup of tea to use that medium to express. How does art impact you in your daily life?
Oh, big time, yeah. So I think it's a problem for an impatient mind like me. It's a beautiful problem to have. I'll tell you how. So again, I'll answer with some examples of by explaining some scenes in my typical day and life. I love, for example, flying. Like aeroplanes and airports are big time, beautiful, important experiences for me.
I love airports.
Yeah, because one, you are disconnected, so you're all by yourself and your mind, and then my mind then moves at like Netflix 1.7x speed, right? So I jot down stuff there on the notes, and then at times write mails, unfortunately, for my team members, which the moment I unplug and they see that airplane mode ho gaya, to abhi mail aa jayega. So, but work and non-work, mostly non-work, right? And equally at airports, I love people watching, right? So that's like this guy walking around, and I think he's half drunk, right? So from last this guy, he had a good Friday evening for sure, right? So I mean, this is very important for me. Like this person later on will appear in some sketch of mine later, right, in some form, right? So this is being recorded. So I think these small observations is extremely important for me. Like
he's just talking to the car.
He may be. She's such an interesting person. See, now you're observing, right? So this is what I think people watching and other good practices do. And cut to one example of from my professional life, and that's a practice which I think holds me slightly intellectually ahead of other peers of mine, which is watching creatives and on the go, like watching a brand. Like when my wife maroons me while she's shopping around, like I'm there looking at the malls, the signages, and I'm thinking, why is this model looking so serious in this Zara ad, right? Like why? I'm thinking why Zara could have chosen to make them smile a little bit more, right? So thinking like that. So observing all of that and thinking the backstory and the thinking of the brand builder behind that brand, all of this is art for me, right? So in some way or the other, right? And then all of this serving as an inspiration. See, art is nothing if you don't figure out a way to take what you're observing and then take it somewhere and do something with it, right? Like we're as good as what we are, translating that idea into.
Yeah.
And then I take all these inspirations and figure out a way to either deploy it in my own personal life or through my team in my day job, right? This I really, really love, right? So one favorite verb of mine is cross-tabbing. Cross-tabbing, right? Like you get something from some completely disconnected world and you cross-tab that with your context table.
Wow.
I love it. Like I love doing it. Like I'm saying, I take something from my past world of selling milk and soaps and marry it to the world of talking to a student community online now.
Yeah.
Right? So that in ways that is unimaginable. This is creativity for me, right?
Yeah.
So this is creativity in thought, right? And not just expression. So yeah, so cross-tabbing is a very powerful verb in my dictionary.
Very interesting and insightful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna practice that someday.
Cross-tab. Yeah, it's a way of, like, it's a philosophy, it's a way of life for me.
Yeah.
Right? So, and unfortunately, superficial minds might translate this as copying. It's not, or getting inspired. No, it's way more deeper than that as a thought.
Yeah. There are so many videos out there where people have like eyes or skin or like fingertips, and how it just coincides with nature in different ways, and I just find that so beautiful, so amazing. And I feel especially with movement, I feel that everything is in motion.
Correct.
Always. We're so connected with nature, yet we are so disconnected from it, which makes us so disconnected from us. And I feel that somehow art becomes that channel to connect with ourselves.
To bring us back.
And with nature.
To bring us back.
Yes.
To where it all started and where it should be. Yeah, I agree with you completely. And the fact that we are understanding it so quickly, these thoughts, this is the beauty of art, right? Because at somewhere, our wavelengths are not too far away.
Yeah.
That's the idea, right? And like we met this morning, right? So our wavelengths were not definitely there. Now this is the beauty of art, talking about art. Had it been a very transactional conversation, no way would have come wavelength-wise so close. 100%. This I can tell you, this is 4 decades of my experience.
Absolutely. How do you think not having that pressure, or not setting goals, like strict rigid goals, has helped you, or has benefited Alekhya in personal and in professional life?
I think I'm very, like, how do I put it, personally, it's slightly, it might sound boastful. I'm looking for the right word. I'm very unpredictable,
Unpredictable.
That was the word, So I think that unpredictability comes from that love for art. I think that has hopefully made me a little stand out from the rest of my peer group, for sure. Because someone, when given a problem statement, and here I'm talking a little boring sort of professional stuff here.
That's fine.
Probably will approach it in one of 3 ways, right? But that fourth, slightly alchemy-led, different, tangential way, वो शायद ही मैं ही कर पाऊँगा, right? So, and not that I don't know the other 3, right? वो तो ठीक है, मतलब वो तो much trodden traditional ways. So that finding that fourth path has always sort of helped me professionally. That's something, right? And this has come because I was never constrained or like put in a certain straight-jacketed way earlier, right? So that's, I think, my pithy answer, that unpredictability.
Yeah, that makes sense. To not be in that box, if I'm getting it right, to not be in that box basically helped you explore and get those experiences that you could have missed out on otherwise.
And it's a lot of hard work.
I
by the way, creativity is extreme degrees of hard work. I want to not, like, what 10,000 hours of perfection, the ones that they talk about, 100% there is a lot of truth in that. That as an you suddenly have, you're like high or happy with something and that idea comes to you. No. There's a lot of crafting that happens to reach that level of craftsmanship, for sure.
Are you somebody who gets very upset when you make a mistake? Like, how do you deal with
Of course,
mistakes and
so I think
failure?
So I think yes, this is one of those spaces where I've grown over the years, for sure. Like, I think being a little more comfortable by looking at mistakes as less as a mistake but more as a lesson, that has come with age, for sure. Like, this is one of the classes of being old, like, you know, or getting older rather, that you do realize that the perspective and context, these two things are happening more and more. So you know that, okay, fine. And when you zoom out and look back at something in the past, the problem that it looked at that point of time, it doesn't look like that, right? So that happens a lot. So yeah, I think that's how I've started looking at mistakes and how I've handled mistakes now. But earlier it used to kill me 100%, a lot more. Yeah.
Really?
And oh my God, what have I done? Yeah, it looks so bad. Even now, interesting that you asked me this. So if you now let me right now in front of you see some of the earlier ads which I had made on my brand, I will probably hide my face.
Yeah.
Like it looks so like kiddish, amateurish, and I never make them if I start with the same brief right now.
Yeah.
Right? But वो होता है, like वो हमेशा होता है. So I think that happens to each one of us in our own different context.
Yeah, I think this is how growth also happens, right?
Yeah.
This is what the journey is about.
Correct. Yeah.
To look back and see, oh, we could have done this in so many different ways.
Yeah, correct. None of us should be too hard on ourselves at any point of time. I think, again, this concept of at some degree self-care. So I think ये सब शब्द हमारे शब्दकोश में नहीं थे when we were your age, right? So now I think, yes, I understand the importance of it and actively try to work at it for sure. It's a very important part of being attached with art for sure. Self-care, very important.
True.
Yeah.
I think people who are using art in any way somehow end up incorporating self-care in their life,
I know.
consciously or unconsciously.
Yeah.
It just becomes a part of it.
Correct. I think we didn't talk about that, but I think mostly I create during the weekends. 100%. Yeah. So that's a big way of me, letting go of the steam built up all through the Monday to
it's
Friday.
It's like an unwinding
oh
thing
my
for
God,
you.
100%. Yeah. And ये तो habit हो चुका है अभी, right? Like every weekend, if I don't at least put my pen on paper, iPad, pencil on paper, iPad once at least, that weekend it seems even more stressful, right? So 100% that's a great tool to unwind.
Yeah, but that's such a great thing that there is one thing that I can go to over the weekend.
It's just me.
Yeah.
It's just me there. Yeah. And that's me and my expression, and nobody can whatever.
Yes.
So, yeah.
My question is, how do you deal with ideas not aligning, not mixing up, difference of opinions, especially in workspace?
Correct. So it's very, very, I think it's a beautiful question, and I'll answer it with, again, anecdotes from my life, right?
Of course.
So I remember in one of my past organizations, so my super boss also was an artist, right? So he was like a proper canvas artist, and again, much like me, every weekend was some artistic expedition for him. But he used to report to the CEO, right? And in our walk of life, we have to like present creatives to the CEO for final approval, right? So me and the super boss together. I remember once, me and my super boss were very positive about one ad. The CEO absolutely trashed it. Right? So and I remember he was like bludgeoning the super boss, like saying this, and eventually he ended the conversation with, when my super boss wanted to defend it, like, I think because I have this whatever this is okay. He answered back saying, listen, this is, and by the way, in hindsight, the CEO was absolutely 10 on 10 right. He mentioned this way of looking at the creative, please keep your own artistic lens for your weekend purposes. Like, you have to figure out a way. And then I realized, as a minion in the team, okay, if he's saying this to my super boss, I might as well do that. So this I have 100% learned later on, and this is a learning that has sort of remained with me, that you can only marry your own personal creative self with the work that you are doing to a certain extent. You need to know where to draw the line, for sure. Because in your work and business context, yes, there is a need for creative expression, but that's a sum total of other people, other stakeholders, their thoughts as well, even if they are not as great artists as you. And it's to solve a certain thing, which is to solve the business problem. You have to sell more, get more attention, etc. Your own creative pursuits has no such goals, right? It's for your own, there's only one satisfaction, you should be happy as an artist. Baki validation na mile dekh lenge, right? But so there is two different worlds altogether, right? So this realization, one, was extremely important, and it had the formation from that particular incident. Second, now I think I'm in the position of that like CXO, super boss now. And when I have this team of 40, who every day they have to churn out many designs, creatives, visuals, one thing I always try to tell myself, that I should not overwhelm them. Because my number of ideas, inspirations, etc., need not find absolute 100% replication in their heads and hearts. it's extremely unfair on my end to expect
Yeah.
that. So this is a thing that I try to tell myself. At times I fail still to still expect the same. Why didn't this turn out this way,
Yeah.
etc. But then how you say it, because that also has an impact. I understand. Like in my
Absolutely.
position now, so this for me is the current way of being with my team. That yes, there is again a team effort to put something that is creatively good and at the
Yeah.
same time delivering on the business objective. But then how do I, more importantly, nurture the process of them being better, creative, expressive folks? The process is extremely important. Again, going
Yeah.
back to the same example, the process that my mentor followed with me, that having no guardrails, no constraints. That was the process he followed without
Yeah.
really making it feel like a process. So equally, can I be a little less harsh in sharing feedback with
Yeah.
my team, so that they become better individuals? So I am very clear in my professional goal. Like at my workspace, it's not about selling more or whatever. My goal is to make every individual in my team a slightly better version of themselves. So I think that's how I look at it, and it has roots in that part, that incident.
But before we go, one message that you would like to give to our audience. A very specific message. The entire podcast has been a message,
Okay.
but a very specific one.
I think be curious. That really helps. It's a line from Ted Lasso.
Be curious, not judgmental.
Yeah.
I love it. Like I think it's so simple, and one of those lines which in hindsight is simple yet brilliant, and
Yeah.
so evident. Like it's like, oh, okay. So yes, I mean, we look around people, we see things, and we are by default we are conditioned to be judgmental.
Yeah.
I think it's a conscious choice we can take at every moment to not be judgmental but be curious, and just give yourself a chance to be curious. You
Yeah.
will learn so much more,
Yeah.
and you will become 100% more creatively, more expressive and better.
Yeah.
So be curious, not judgmental. No, again, I not mind. I cross-tabbed it from Ted Lasso to your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that's a brilliant advice, and there's a very fine line between curiosity and
Yeah.
judgment, which also helps us be more aware about
Yeah.
how we are looking at things.
Yeah.
So, if you think about it, it's a very deep message. So, we're leaving you with a thought that you need to process now.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Alekhya, for being here.
Thank you, Parnika.
It has been a beautiful day, and I've got to learn so much from you.
Yeah.
And I look forward to many more such learnings.
Absolutely.
And whether it's through your art, through your podcast, or through many more interactions like these.
Yeah.
And yes, thank you.
Lovely talking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I shall see you super soon. Can you ask them to like, share, subscribe
Yes. Like, share, to what?
to YouTube and like,
तो
share,
नाम तो बोल दे
subscribe.
क्या माइंड क्या
Mindstance.
Mindstance मैं Mindscape सोचा था बार-बार Mindstance
Mindstance, yes.
Like, share, subscribe to Mindstance wherever they are, YouTube, Spotify, everywhere.
Yes, this episode is going to be available on all audio streaming platforms and on YouTube. So go like, share, subscribe, and I shall see you very soon. Okay, bye.